This is Nancy Newhart. I'm here with Tracy Budd, who's the judge for the annual high school art and middle school art competition. We're in the back part of the gallery where the high school exhibit is. It opens today, April 14th, and will run through mid-May. There is a reception on May 12th from 4:30 until 6. So we'd like for the public to come and see it then and have a little nosh with us. But meanwhile, let Tracy talk to you a little bit about some of her choices. Tracy is a working artist. She graduated from Bridgewater and James Madison Universities, and she also teaches at the Studio School in Roanoke. Take it away.
Thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed looking at all the art, and it's always fun, especially to look at middle school and high school art, because it's so creative and inspirational, and they don't hold back, and I always enjoy this age group. And there are lots of categories. Should I talk about?
Sure.
This is first place in painting for the high schoolers. I just thought as a strong image, as we recognize, we know this image, but it's a very strong image. I don't know if it's supposed to be cockeyed in the frame or not.
I don't think so.
It kind of doesn't bother me though, for some reason. I love the diagonal of that. This is Best in Show for the high school age group. It's Kevin Gates. It's a painting, and I just knew it when I saw it that it was Best in Show. Mainly it's a small piece, but it draws you in. It's so powerful, also in my perspective, from the fact it's monochromatic, actually adds to the impact that it has, but it has such a feeling of the soul of the person and the personality of the person, which is so hard to do when you are painting a technical face. It's loose and beyond the age of the person who painted it, I would think. Very nice piece. And this is Flower Candy, a Mia Riddick's piece, also high school age. I thought it was clever how the candy goes together in such a nice composition, making the flower obviously, but just well placed on the substrate, and I just really enjoy the pattern that it makes, and it's very creative. Technical, which to me is like a performance. It's like you see a piece that is so technically well done that it deserves an award just for the sheer technical skill, and because that is really something that we strive hard to do. But then there's pieces that are so creative that you just have to give them an award for creativity. I kind of feel like this Flower Candy is somewhat like that. It's just creative. You just who thought that up? And then also the third one that I usually go by is emotional. If a piece just hits me, sometimes it's completely opposite than technical. Technical can be so wonderful, and every leaf is rendered, and every stem is there, and it's the value is great, and the color is great, and the composition is great. Sometimes an emotional piece can be a splash of something, and it almost looks like an accident. And it's, but everybody in the room would look at it and kind of go, because it evokes a feeling that maybe you don't get when you're looking at a technical piece. So the reason I like to bring that up is these three categories of judging it's apples and oranges. You can't really, if you win an award, it's a wonderful thing. If you don't win an award, it doesn't mean that you didn't win, because you can't really judge the pieces against each other. And every judge would pick a different piece. I might come in at 2 hours later and pick a different show, just because of the way it hits you when you see it. This is Nicole Fry, Salvation, and it is a drawing, honorable mention. This is a great example of an emotional piece that just evokes emotion. You can't get around it. It's like everybody that would look at it feels a very strong emotion. I think it's probably because of the fact it's a grieving person or a person yearning. It's also because of the value. The black and white is so strong, and being drawn the way it is, it just evokes such a strong image. This piece by Mackenzie Snook is just, how can you get around the fact that you just want to look at that? It is fun, it's colorful, It's the line quality, the exaggeration, which is also an element that we always forget that we can do by exaggerating the neck and the lines of all in the dog and also in the turtleneck, just make it a fun, creative piece to look at. And sometimes that's all it has to be. But it's also very technically well done, but I love the flowers behind the dog's head. And it got Best in Show and well deserved. This piece, Bubbles by Grace Forbes, is a really powerful piece, especially in person. When you stand back, the bubbles just really lift and move. It's extremely simple, but once again, it's on the black, which makes the bubbles and the images, the shapes, just really strong and interesting to me. The placement of the shapes, and also if you see it in person, it has just really subtle shading of color around those bubbles that make them 3D and kind of bounce off the way bubbles do. This piece by Isabella McAllister, De-Izzy as it's called, which it does make you kind of dizzy. I like it because of all that pattern. It's just joyful and fun to look at, and it kind of draws you in. When you stand back, you see large shapes, which you should, and then you see some medium shapes, and then you see the little, what I like to call dessert shapes, that are the little tiny shapes that lead us through a composition and show us where to look. And it's more than just a doodle. It's very intricate, and you could look at it all day long. And I think it's a strong piece, and it got second place in drawing for the middle schoolers.